celebrating the power of possibility.
I'm Lee Smith, and I believe anything is possible.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. These are great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. And I'm excited this episode, this season, to welcome Lee Smith. Welcome to the broadcast.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I am fantastic. Here's where I want to start. I love your heart. And I want to figure out how you earned that heart, because you've got a big, big heart. You grew up in Powell?
Yep. Well, Emory Road, Powell, Halls. My mom went to Halls, my dad went to Powell, so they were jerking me back and forth down Emory Road my whole childhood, trying to figure out where I was going to be. But yes, right here in East Tennessee.
What was it like growing up in East Tennessee?
It was awesome. You know, like I said, my parents met when my dad was playing at Tennessee. My mom was they were both North Knoxville kids. Every grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin, I truly can't think of one blood relative that doesn't live here. And so this was home. And then obviously my dad played in the NFL for a little bit. He got into the NFL as a scab back in the lockout in '87, which was the year I was born, and he just hung around. And then God allowed me to play a long time, and me and my bride have lived all over the country with our kids, but we always knew where home was going to be.
You came back here. Tell me about your dad.
So my pops, grew up with a single mom, spent many nights in rooms with multiple people sleeping in them, and my Nana was married 5 or 6 times. I, to this day, don't know who my grandfather is.
Wow.
So nobody does. My wife is actually currently, all this was a 360 or whatever all this genetic testing, you spit in the tube stuff. So I got cousins somewhere that she's found or something. So she's on a mission. I can't decide if she's just a nosy lady or if she really has these health concerns for her kids. But anyway, so I don't know who my grandfather is. So my dad was awesome growing up, man. He wanted different for his family. And now that I've gotten older and gotten closer to the Lord and really found grace and forgiveness in my heart, he tried hard and he taught me so much. And he always loved my mom, and he didn't want that vicious cycle that he had came through to conquer his family. And then, later in his life when football was gone and everything the money ran out, and he became that, the Concussion movie, if anybody's out there seen it, that was a little bit of my childhood once I became kind of in the teenage years. So alcohol got a hold of him, and that was all she wrote. Died at 46 years old. And
that's young.
Oh yeah. And I never saw the guy drink a beer, say a cuss word, raise his voice at my mom, nothing, until I was 10, 11 years old. And it just grabbed him, boom. And I look back and it's like, man, he tried. I told my mom the other day, I said, I finally have a different perspective of Dad, of like, he ran the race hard and he got me to the final lap. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like, he grew up in just absolute chaos. And he got me as close as he had the ability to get me. And I just had to finish the final lap. Whereas before, it's like, you're a drunk, I don't respect you, you let your family down, you're not a real man, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, dang, man, he changed 80, 90%, so you only had to change 10%. And that shift has been really cool.
What brought you to that shift?
God, 100%.
Tell me about your God journey, because that's a real story of possibility.
So, I don't do well sitting still reading a book of any kind, no matter how much I'm fired up for Jesus. So I never realized Moses was scared and timid and a baby left in a basket. And I never realized all these things. I thought everybody was David and Simon and, Judas is worthless and, all these things. And it's like, no, man, I'm closer to Judas than I am to Jesus. And understanding just how cool Jesus was with accepting all people. You were just talking about the woman at the well before we started, and the tax collector. It wasn't just a bunch of Simons and Davids and Samsons hanging out. It was people of all kinds. So when I kind of got my heart healed and understood that everyone's different, and just because they might not fit in this Lee Smith box, like I had my dad in this Lee Smith box. Like, bro, your only thing you're really responsible for in life is your wife and kids, and you screwed that up. You're worthless. I don't respect you. Like, I'm glad you're dead or whatever. And then finally, Jesus transformed my heart when I learned, truly the kind of dude Moses was, and God chose him still. And Matthew, we've been watching Chosen. Have you seen Chosen?
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
Bro, like, my kids begged to watch the next episode. It's unreal. Then we go to church, and they're like, remember, Dad, we watched that. It's awesome. So anyways, God transformed my heart, and there's no doubt about it. A couple months after I retired from the NFL, which was 2 years ago, I was in church by myself, which to this day, I have no idea why I would have been in church by myself that day, without my wife or my kids, but I was. They might have been sick or something. But I tell people all the time, like, I heard God for the first time ever. It was the only profound, like, real profound God moment of, like, feeling and hearing. It wasn't like a, hey, Lee, you know what I mean? But I knew, like, it was non-negotiable.
What did you know at that moment?
He told me I would never drink again.
Really?
Yep. And so then I
would imagine, it's interesting to me that you did drink after you saw what it did to your father. So
here's what's crazy. Alcohol has completely controlled that side of my family for a long time, and even my mom's side with some addiction issues and things. Once again, dumb teenage and young 20-year-old male mindset. I can drink it, it won't conquer me like it did him because I'm not soft.
Yeah, you're a warrior.
I'm not weak. Exactly. And then, but that 1 or 2 nights a year, I would lose control. Moderation is not something I'm good at. My work life, my family life, like I'm all gas, no brakes. But I would have 3 glasses of wine at dinner. I'd have a couple beers. I would do all these things 50 times a year. But those 2 nights, I'm going to try to ruin my life. And finally, I know what God was doing. He was throwing me a life raft, man. Like, he knew you're transitioning out of all you've ever known. You're starting a new business that you know nothing about. And your family life looks different. Being in Knoxville full-time is going to look different. Everything's going to look different. And if you still have access to that Crown Royal, something bad is going to happen. And I mean, I started the negotiation process. It was awesome. I'm like, all right, God, how about just vacations? How about just at home with my wife? How about, only wine? Jesus drank wine. All these things, and there's just this profound, like, it's like somebody was choking me. No. And I haven't had a drink since that day, not one. And I'll never drink again. I had just finished this awesome pool house at our house. We won't talk numbers, but there's some good wine in that cellar that now everybody else gets to drink. Right. And an awesome bourbon bar, but I'm about to get all the alcohol out of my house. I told my wife the other day, I said, we're done. I don't want it anywhere near my family.
Possibility powered by Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Now you can listen while you're on the go with Anything is Possible, the podcast.
And what were the instructions beyond you're not drinking anymore?
That was it. I felt God. It wasn't like the message, Jason Hayes, Shoreline, shout out, my dog. So it wasn't like Jason was up there talking about drinking, or the sermon had nothing to do. Of course, it always correlates some kind of way.
Right.
Sinful behavior, no matter what he's preaching on, it can correlate. But it was just like, I couldn't breathe. It's like, it was crazy. But it was all drinking. There was no other, like, transform your life, get in your Bible, come closer to me. It was literally, here's a life raft, you big dummy. And I'm trying to save you. You better trust me on this one. And then I've just been chasing him ever since, man. It's been so cool.
Was that a moment where you also saw and embraced your father's humanity?
Not quite. I think, once again, it was a life raft to so much healing in so many different ways.
Right.
That moment led me to, literally, it was last week. I called my mom, I texted my mom. Last week, 2 years later, finally I have this shift in my brain of like, oh my God, he got me to the final lap. All I had to do was fix the drinking, which, by the way, Jesus fixed for me by choking me out in church because I was too stupid to fix it myself. So he got me to a final lap that I didn't even fix till I was 34 years old.
So you come back, you have this career in the NFL, Bills, Patriots, what other team?
So the Patriots drafted me and cut me in and actually played for the Patriots, but I was there. Got yelled at and cussed out by Tom Brady for 30 days and then got fired my rookie year, and then played for the Bills for 6 years, the Raiders for 4, and
That's
the Falcons for 1. Yep.
Right, ended with the Falcons. So you come back home and you've got to figure out a new chapter to your life, but you also found purpose, because Triple F is not just a training facility. This thing is drenched in purpose.
Absolutely.
How'd you get there?
So once again, we'll go back to my pops, just because it did influence all of my kind of football life and post-football life. And I was an NFLPA rep for a lot of years. I played 11 years. So, and once my wife always tells me, you can't be Superman and save everybody. But all my teammates want me to be the union rep. Of course I do it. Thankless job. They sure don't pay you for it. But, you know, all the guys that are going to play in the NFL after me, I hope I left it better for them. So all those things considered, with my dad's demise and early death, and all the things I've seen with former teammates that transition out and really struggle. You know the NFL statistics, 75% divorce, 75% bankruptcy. You know, we see the numbers as players. And I had to live it as a kid. So I knew I had to have something when I left the NFL to give me purpose, and I knew that it was involved around kids and athletics. So that's how Triple F was born, man. And then obviously we established a nonprofit organization as well right when I transitioned out, to make sure our inner city youth, mostly inner city, they're not all in the inner city, but our kids with no fathers, like my dad was a No Athlete Left Behind. Now my organization is called No Athlete Left Behind. I want to serve all those kids that had the childhood my pops had, so that they don't have to deal with the repercussions in childhood that I had. And even if they are living a similar childhood that I did, which most of them are, actually all of them are, of our No Athlete Left Behind kids, I want to be that light and that safe place and safe haven for them that I didn't have. So Triple F, for profit. We're going to serve Jesus. We're not going to apologize for it. Every Monday night we have a Bible study. It was my turn this Monday night. We talked about 2 Timothy and being a leader, and how Saul raised Timothy, and if it wasn't for Saul understanding his leadership, we wouldn't be talking about Timothy. So all you boys need to go find your Timothys. That was the message Monday, and that's for all our kids. So for-profit Triple F, and the No Athlete Left Behind kind of aligns with Triple F, and we take care of those kiddos and pour Jesus into them, and manhood, and help them understand some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, that we might not all look the same, we might not have the same color tan, but humanity's a cool thing, and we're all going to love each other and do life together. It's going to be cool. I
love that. Two things. One, No Athlete Left Behind, you just had the big sneaker ball.
Yeah, man.
Look at your face light up when I say sneaker ball. Talk about that.
You know, it's cool because, number one, it was cool for my wife and my girl Jen East, that's my sis, and my daughters. They get to play in this awesome event. And also, you know, you establish something. It's hard to raise money for something if no one knows it exists. I always tell people, if I had the best brownies, if I had the best cinnamon rolls in the world, better than Cinnabon, Cinnabon's still going to trump me, because everybody knows Cinnabon, nobody knows Lee Smith cinnamon rolls. So getting the word out there to people of like, hey man, this is what we're doing, getting some awesome people in town. There's so many great foundations. I was at the Men of Valor breakfast yesterday with my buddy Josh Smith. Unreal.
Outstanding.
Changed my heart. I told my wife when we left, I've always said that I love kids. Broken adults, somebody else can deal with them. I want to deal with kids. Broken adults are set in their ways. I don't want no part of that. Once again, it's stinking daddy issues, bro. It's ridiculous. So I'm like, I go to that, and I told Josh, I said, all right, you changed me. You changed my heart. Once again, from that day in church until now, just all these things are happening because I submitted to God in the first time and only time to this day that it was ever like that real moment. Now I'll read the Bible and I'll be in church and I'll feel things. Obviously, I know when God's working through me in a lot of ways. Derek Carr used to always tell me, I'd say, man, I felt something. And he's like, Lee, that's not something, that's God. Like when you feel, so a million God moments, but this was the big one. And then so many things have changed. So Men of Valor event, 650 people in the room. You know, the first year they started Men of Valor, I doubt there were 650 people in the room. So getting the word out for these kids, all our kiddos were there, dressed up in the nicest clothes they could possibly find. And like I told you earlier, you know, a couple of our kids, they're just like, man, I've never been in a room with this many rich white people. And immediately they're uncomfortable. And just getting to be that person that's there to say, hey man, like it ain't got nothing to do with like, yes, like we're all humans. All these people are here because they love you and want to support you. And then Rodney Hudson, who's my son's godfather, who is about as black as it gets, is there, and he's made $80 million playing football, and he's there to support these kids, and he looks like them and feels like them and smells like them, but at the same time, he's intermingling with all the white people and all the rich people, and it's like, whoa, man, there's people like me that live like this and eat this good food, and all this is cool, and it's just, it fires me up to just show these kids, and it's not just black kids, we have a lot of white kids in our program too, that obviously are from broken homes and horrible backgrounds, but they feel the same way walking in the room, man. There's all the rich people here. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, yeah, there's people in here's got some deep pockets, but they got big hearts too.
Now, take us with you with Anything is Possible, the podcast. Stream new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk about manhood and why that's such a cornerstone of what you do.
So I think there's everybody out there on TikTok has a million little, hot takes, from Jordan Peterson to all these guys. But a man is going to show your son how to be a man, and it's going to show your daughter the kind of man she needs to chase after. And that's as simple as it gets for me. To these boys, it's like, number one, when you make a decision that can cause you to become a father, there's responsibility that comes with that, or else you have now drugging someone else into the mud that you're in. It's the same thing I tell my boys all the time is, when God gifts you with the gift of leadership, which he does not gift everyone with, when he gifts you with the gift of leadership, it is a double whammy when you make a bad decision because you're dragging other people with you. And that's something that I look back on and I really wish that I would have understood. Is like, people were going to follow me whether I was going the right way or the wrong way. And it's almost, it's turning your back on God when he transforms you from Saul to Paul. Once he became Paul, anytime he led people the wrong way, that's a bad deal. When he was Saul, he didn't understand. And that's one thing I tell these boys is like, if you're fired up for Christ and if you love Jesus, now you're in Paul land, and there's responsibility that comes with that. And being a man and understanding that every decision you make is going to pull your future kids, your future wife, your friends that are following you into the darkness, and that just can't happen.
Talk about your wife.
My homie Alicia Smith, high school sweethearts. We've been together forever. She didn't grow up in the most fruit-bearing home either. So we got married when we were teenage kids, ran off to the courthouse, didn't tell anybody, and hit it to Marshall University where I was after I got kicked out of Tennessee, after I got arrested. And Coach Fulmer, I give Coach Fulmer crap every time I see him now about kicking me out. He coached my dad. Obviously, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And every time I see him, I give him a big hug because he saved my life, finally saying, get your butt out of here and go get yourself fixed. So I realized that my wife was the only person in the world that I ever didn't want to let down. I was very self-destructive. Still to this day, I don't understand how to take care of me. And God is starting to not slowly, he's worked in his time, but I'm starting to learn how to take care of me, to take care of others. I've always been horrible at that. So I'm good at taking care of other people though, for the most part. And once I didn't want to let her down, she got pregnant a few months after we got married. As college students, we had 2 kids in college, had a mortgage and car payments, and it was buy here, pay here type stuff. It wasn't like I was going to the Cadillac like I am now. But donating plasma twice a week, mowing every yard I could find, painting every shutter, cleaning every mulch bed, while playing college football, and getting 2 college degrees with a wife and 2 kids. But she's been right there since the plasma days. 17 years later, I give her crap sometimes now. I tell her she's on full scholarship, but we were on food stamps at one point. So she's my ride or die best friend in the whole world. She, regardless of in our down moments or when things are hard, marriage ain't for quitters. It ain't for the faint of heart. We have our issues like everybody else does, but she's my buddy. She's awesome. Pal girl, mother of my babies.
If you were giving just a final thought on possibility, name of the show is Anything is Possible, what would you tell people about? Because I don't know if you imagined your life turning out like this and being on the trajectory it's on now. What would you say about possibility?
Always knew I was going to play in the NFL. There was never a shadow of a doubt. Always knew that I was going to play as long as I wanted to play and I was going to go home. But I always planned as if that wouldn't happen. I planned as if this is going to be my last game. I'm talking financially and things like that. But in my brain, I don't think people understand the power of the human mind and our thoughts. So this is what I tell our kids all the time. What you watch and what you listen to controls your mind. Nothing ever plays in my car besides the message on Sirius XM. Now, my kids tell me I'm ancient because I have Pandora and I guess Spotify's the new thing or whatever, but nothing plays in my car besides Christian music. Nothing. And anything that you watch and anything that you hear is going to control your thoughts, whether you think it will or not. And that's probably not needed to say to most people that watch your show, obviously, but to everybody else out there that might peek at this, what you watch, what you hear controls your thoughts, and you have to tell yourself every stinking day what your future is going to look like. And then the 5 million times that the short-term immediate looks the opposite, you can't let it distract you from what you know the long-term is.
It's amazing. Lee Smith, thanks for being on Anything is Possible.
Okay, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Much love.